So with bluelock season 2 officially coming to an end, I'm here to make this video on what I think bluelock season 3 with a good adaptation should look like. Anyways, if you guys like this type of content, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. My goal for the end of this year is to hit 10,000 subscribers. It's a big milestone that I want to achieve. So every single one of those likes and subscribes really helps. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get right into this video. So when do I think that this bluelock season should air, and when do I think it should come out? Now, a great plan I have for this bluelock season is, since now that it's 2025, I think they take this whole year off. Take this entire year off and just focus on production for season 3. Now, the perfect time to release season 3 is, you already guessed it, 2026. What else happens in the 2026? The World Cup. And that's exactly why I'm aiming to put the bluelock season 3 airing date in the summer anime season while the World Cup's going on. So it's going to have that same production and hype that the season 1 anime had. Now, that's not all. I think for this season, we also need to step up our animation loads. So during the off time in 2025 and 2026, we're going to have to work on what we need to do with this anime. On top of working, the guy who animated the last episode, tell that dude to stay in. Give him a lifetime contract, bro. Somebody offer him a max, because we need that guy to animate every big moment in the show. So yeah, tell that guy to stay inside the studio. Next, the thing we need next is basically we need to have a bigger team. I heard that the bluelock production schedule was not so good, and neither was the team. I heard the team was very small. So if that's the case, I'm really not looking forward to season 3. But in the off season, if they hire some new talented animators, talented workers, who knows? We might get even better animation. Now, for the first episode, I basically want to get this whole chill period after U20 over with in one episode. This episode just could be a very chill episode after the blockbuster that was season 2 at the ending, where everybody going crazy into flow states and stuff. There's going to be more of a chilling, relaxed episode for once in bluelock. And it's actually the first time that these players actually go outside since they joined bluelock. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they interact with each other, everything like that. Now, the episode's going to end with Ego introducing to us, eventually Isagi and Ren make the decision to go back to bluelock, and everyone going back to bluelock. And then we get the phase 3 of bluelock to begin, with Ego introducing the top 5 leagues and the NEL. For episode 2, though, we're going to get an introduction and our first look at all these international U20 teams, along with a certain somebody that everyone's going to go crazy for. I can already see the TikToks on this guy happening as soon as he gets revealed, and it's Kaiser. As soon as Kaiser gets animated in this episode, it's going to be fireworks, and especially the ending where Isagi's like, I need to take Kaiser down from the top. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a cold ending and a great introduction to a new antagonist for a new arc. Now, for the third episode, we're basically going to be getting into our first match of the Neo Egoist League, and I expect the production to be a lot higher than the second season, way less still frames. The jerseys and hair are actually moving throughout the frames when players are moving. We're going to get to see Barcha's dribbling and his new Jenga X Monster style. Kunigami's shot power needs to be emphasized a lot. It needs to look like Kunigami's firing a boulder at the net. On top of that, I want to see my boy Kaiser, because the episode is going to eventually end when the game is going back and forth. And then Kaiser, at the end of the episode, has a sick sequence with the music playing out loud, him getting the ball, and Kaiser impacting it for the first time. Now, for the Kaiser impact, how would I like for it to be adapted? For me, I think it should be in that form where Rin and Sei's battle was, something like that, in less detail, where his leg swing actually is so fast that even we, the audience, can barely see it. That's what I want. I want something that makes his shot seem like a laser. And I don't want to see the shot go past people. I just want to see it end up in the back of the net. I feel like it would be so sick to just see Kaiser swing his foot super fast, swing his foot super fast, and you're gonna be like, wait, what the hell? Where'd the ball go? And the next frame is literally the ball in the net with everyone shocked. Bro, what the shit? It's like when somebody gets speed blitzed in Bleach, you're like, bro, what the shit just happened? That's kind of what I want to see for the Kaiser impact. And the episode's gonna end with Kaiser doing his celebration. Now for episode 4, the game is going to eventually end with Isagi passing the ball to Kunigami for the end of the game. And it's not only that, we're also going to get to see Noah and Lavinio start cooking again. You know, we already know how that goes down. I want the animation for their duel to be absolutely insane. Please, 8-bit, let the animation, the aura be flowing in the wind. I want Lavinio's removes to be super pristine, way more pristine than Sai's and Barcha's, just to showcase the overall skill level. I want Noah's goal to be an absolute, like, damn, Noah's him moment. You know what I mean? Like a wake-up call, like, okay, this is how good we need to be to pass the #1 in the world. That's what I want it to be. But yeah, man, this episode is going to be a very good episode because we're going to see Isagi struggle so much in the beginning of the NEL. And at the end of the episode, he's going to settle on getting his assist to Kunigami for the end of the game. Episode 5 will more be like a lore drop episode on more information on how the Neo League actually works with the auctions and everyone's different auction and Isagi being expired, Kaiser and Isagi butting heads. And we're actually going to get to see Yukimiya's backstory in this episode, which I think is going to be pretty sad and a very sad episode ending to the episode where we're going to be going into the ManShine match. We're going to get to see Nagi training. Everyone's training. We're like, yo, we're locked in, bro. This next match is going to be even crazier. You might be asking me, why is the pacing so fast in this version of the NEL? Listen, the reason why I'm making the pacing so fast is because these NEL games are about as long as U20 on average. I think that's not good at all. I think that these games should not be that long, and if they are, then it will take a season or movies to adapt, like most of them. So I have a plan that I'm going to reveal to you guys at the end of the season, but you got to bear with me here because we're going to have to keep going fast in the pacing to see how many games we can cover, and if we can imagine to cover to where the spot I want to, then that's a good thing. But with episode 6, we're going to get the long-awaited ManShine game finally started up, and the hype going into this game is going to be insane. All these cool panels, all these players reuniting with each other since U20, and finally you're going to get to see them go head-to-head for the first time in a very long time. So yeah, the game's going to start with Rio showcasing his new ability. The way I want this to be animated is much better than how they animated U20. Like, please guys, please animators, make it so that he looks fluid. When he's doing sides or moves, please make it so that he looks fluid. That's all I ask of you, bro. If he looks fluid, then you're doing your job. Then, next, I really want a lot of, you know, intensity in the music in this game for the start, especially because the start in this game is very, very climactic and it feels very like, okay, this is a real game. The Barcha game was an introduction, but this is a real game and we're starting in this. Anyways, the episode's going to end with one of my favorite moments in the Neo League, and that's going to be my boy Chigiri dribbling past many people and slotting it into the top right corner. I don't know, bro. That shit will be peak, ending on the line where he says, your evolution is slow, blue lockers. That's going to end the episode right then and there. Now, how do I want them to adapt Chigiri's dribbling past everyone? We already know how they are at adapting Chigiri's speed. Not very good, but I really want them. That's why I say keep that guy who animated the last episode, because the way he animated it, he made everything look so fluid. Did you guys see the way Itoshi Sai was running in the last episode? He was genuinely so fast. I want Chigiri to be even faster, especially when he cuts. I want it to sound like he's hitting brakes on a car when he cuts and misdirecting people, because that's what I want to see out of him. Him misdirecting people, going left, right, just too fast where people just can't stop him. And maybe a close-up of his feet doing that would be very good too, just dribbling past players and then eventually slotting it into the top right corner with that target. For episode 7, we're going to have a pretty also intense episode after the last one, which I think is going to be pretty high rated in my opinion. But if the animation is right, this episode's going to be even better because we're going to get to see Nagi actually start cooking since U20. We're going to get to see how much he's developed since then, how much he's worked on his body, his turns, his creativeness. Everything Nagi's going to do is going to be sick. And I want it to be animated with pristine. I want all the animators to just go ham on his scenes like he's Gojo or something. Because he really is the Gojo of bluelock if you really think about it. But that's not even the best part of this episode, because the best part of this episode will come again at the end when Kaiser gets the ball and performs his second Kaiser impact, just show you that it's truly an unstoppable move. But unlike the first time, I want the animation for this one to be even crazier, because when he shoots it in the manga, there's panels showcasing the ball just going like in first person through this tiny little window into the top window of the net. So I want it to be just like that in the anime, except I think a good animating choice would be whenever the ball's floating in the air, I want a picture, just a still frame of the ball just gliding past these players' heads slowly. I think it'll have the same effect as it did in the manga, where in the manga we're like, shit, like it keeps going. Like nobody's stopping this. He literally picked out that small window from there. There's no way, right? I think that that'll have the same effect as the manga, where in the anime, he shoots it and it's like, and then after that, like it's just clicking picture sounds until it gets closer and closer to the net, and eventually goes inside, and you're like, oh my gosh, damn, Kaiser's him. And he's gonna then celebrate again, and you'll be like, yo, this guy is built different. However, if done right, this next episode in the series could possibly be the best episode that comes in Blue Lock, because this is the episode where Isagili finally awakens Metavision. Oh my gosh, guys. When I seen this in the manga, I was so proud of my boy, because this entire time, these guys all have these sick-ass weapons where they can do so many cool things with them. But Isagi finally gets his weapon here and fully activates it. And you get to see the separation it gives him from everyone else, because he's able to see through the entire field and make a direct path for him to get all the way to the goal, just for you to think he's going to score, which then the episode's going to flip and twist on you, and Kaiser's going to stop him. Kunigami's going to get the goal, but with the ending being that panel of Isagi saying he's going to kill Kaiser. That's going to be a very, very good cliffhanger, because for the next week, everyone's like, oh my gosh, Isagi's a literal demon. What's going to happen next? And I think that they should have this panel have the same effect they did with Rin's panel in U20. You guys know how they animated Rin's like panel where he says disgusting in U20 at the end of the episode with like that horror movie-esque camera and shit. They should do the same thing with this panel to showcase like a little bit of a parallel, you know? And bro, I think that this episode is going to be I think this episode should be very beautifully animated, because the amount of panels here is insane. You know, the Metavision brain floating above the field as Isagi's playing. All these players, all these thoughts running through his head. We need multiple subtitle lines for this. But yeah, man, I think that if they do it right, they can adapt Metavision so good. But of course, we know what episode comes after this one, and rereading through this section of the manga really shows me that, bro, the NEL is such a good arc. It's just back to back to back peak, and I feel like this match alone, I think I'm starting to feel like this match could rival U20. I'm not even kidding. This ManShine match was just amazing. It had everything you could possibly want. But anyways, getting back to the episode's gonna start with Rio and Nagi teaming up once again. I think it'll be an emotional moment from their whole thing in season 1 and season 2, finally coming full circle and them being able to put past their differences. Although this whole episode is going to be about them cooking, you know, everyone's going to try and stop them. Isagi's Metavision working better than ever. And then we're going to get to see the sequence where Nagi performs the best goal in all of Blue Lock. And people might say I'm glazing, but I need this to be in pristine animation. Ultra 8K HD animation. Whoever animates this, please make it look absolutely insane. And I hope you guys understand, depending on how good they do the last episode, where it shows Isagi going Metavision, this one's going to hit even harder, because you're going to see how much better Isagi has gotten when you're like, shit, Isagi's so good right now. Who could even match up to him? And then when Nagi absolutely destroys him here, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, Nagi separated. That's how much weight that Nagi beating Isagi here does, because Isagi's so good right now. And if Nagi beats him, it's like, wow, it's a big surprise. Like, oh my gosh, Nagi is him. So yeah, that's going to have the same effect in anime. But I think that this episode is going to have to go into the ending while playing the ending while he's doing his 5-shot revolver. I think that would be so sick, especially if the song is really good. Nagi going crazy with his animation and him saying he's the best player in the world, then celebrating and the ending coming on. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a big episode. Now for episode 10, it's going to mark the moment Chris Prince actually ends up joining the field with everyone. And we're going to get to see his absolute dominance displayed, just like how they did with Itoshi Sai in the last quarter of the U20 game. Just him dribbling, him showcasing his overwhelming strength, even against people like Kaiser. And then eventually his gyro shot happening, which will be a sick moment when Isagi actually ends up blocking it. So Isagi's going to end up blocking it, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. Now we're going to go with some crazy shit. Yukimiya is going to start dribbling past everyone. He's going to get his little flashback playing again. It's going to be emotional. The OST is going to be ramping up. He's going to be dribbling past everyone with pristine animation, and he's going to shoot it, and then it's going to get absolutely anime baited, and he's going to get blocked badly, and his dreams are going to be crushed. And we get this panel of Chris Prince adapted perfectly, and he says, pathetic. That's exactly where the episode is going to end. I think that this is going to be one of the best episodes of the season. I think this whole run of the ManShine episodes is going to be fucking amazing. If they adapted right, this game could be known as better than the U20 game. Just saying. I think out of all the episodes in the ManShine game so far, this episode might be the worst episode. And that doesn't really bother anyone, because honestly, I feel like this episode should be the worst episode. I mean, there's not really much that happens except for Isagi discovering egocentrism, Isagi absolutely destroying Nagi and Rio, and Noel and Noah teaming up with Isagi towards the end for the final attack of the game. Episode 12, the last episode of the ManShine match, is going to happen. And I know a lot of people might be thinking, oh my gosh, you just covered so many chapters in only 12 episodes. Now, I mean, I only covered 50 chapters. But you have to remember, bluelock is not like most mangas where in these games, it's just straight football. So while I'm adapting these games, I can put in multiple chapters because it's not that much like AOT where you're missing super crazy shit every single chapter. Some chapters, they're just playing football. So that could be adapted in a matter of seconds and minutes. You know, it can't be, it shouldn't take that long because authors only get 19 pages to show what they want to do. But animators can fit those pages into like a couple minutes. So I really do think that this game is going to go down quick, and it's going to feature the end of the game where Isagi's basically going to get his climactic clown moment on Kaiser, and Yukimiya is finally going to get to celebrate. The music's going to ramp. This episode might make some of us cry if it's animated beautifully, seeing Yukimiya's celebration and seeing all these iconic panels finally adapted the way they're supposed to be adapted. Truly a beautiful conclusion to this game. For episode 13, we're going to actually have not much. We're just going to get to see Barou's salary, which I think should be a very sick moment. I think they should actually add some Easter eggs here with Barou actually scoring the last goal, how he actually scored it, and then picking up the ball and getting that insane shot. But I think that's just me. The panel will be enough by its own anyways. I just want to add some more stuff. But yeah, either way, we're going to have Barou doing his shit. And the episode's basically going to end off with, you know, Hiori's backstory, which is going to be pretty sad, but it's going to be also a lot of setup for the next match that we're going to play against Barou. The most of this next episode is just going to be setup for this next game until the game actually starts at the end of the episode. And the reason why I want to end it here is because I remember when this chapter came out in the manga, and it had the entire community going crazy because when Lorenzo showed up and absolutely bitched Kaiser, by the way, unstoppable Kaiser at this point, bitched him, Yo Michael panel comes up and Lorenzo gets revealed as a new Gen 11. Everybody was losing their minds. And I know anime onlys, if they watch this and they're like, oh my gosh, new Gen 11 versus new Gen 11, they're also going to be going absolutely ballistic. But yeah, man, I think that this game is going to have a great introduction just from this episode. Now, this next episode is basically going to start with Lorenzo's counterattack, and I want this, obviously, to have insane animation like I do with everything else. But I think the music is very important with this. When I pictured the scene in my head playing out, I couldn't picture any other music other than like some jazz music. Like, if you guys know Shinji from Bleach, I think Lorenzo should have a theme like his. If you guys have heard Escalation, go search it up and listen to that theme. And I think Lorenzo should have a theme like that when he's dribbling. Because, you know, he's Italian. It's sort of like a Italian upbeat type of beat. And it kind of matches his personality as well while he's dribbling past everyone. Another thing would be when Isagi comes in, eventually shuts that theme down along with Lorenzo and Barou, and then goes on the counterattack and scores his first goal in the New Eagles League. It's going to be a big moment in this game. But that's obviously not going to be where this episode ends, because this episode is going to restart with the tactics that Mark Snuffy has in place to finally start kicking in as Barcha recover the ball with Isagi, and it immediately gets stolen off him by Nico and Uber's hard press. That's where the episode's going to end, with the Ubers going on to the counterattack. Now, this next episode is going to have a lot of crazy things happening in it, especially with the whole thing with Barou's first goal of the game and him eventually being asked to be Mark Snuffy's new successor after Mark Snuffy retires. To which then we're going to cut back to the actual game and Barou is going to get his first goal. I like to see this goal animated just perfectly how was it in the manga. Like, all I really want is the curve from the ball accentuated and Barou's presence completely hidden until he hits the ball. Like, I want it to be like an assassin thing where everything's quiet until he shoots it and it just boom. Like, goalkeeper couldn't even react. Like, literally nobody could react. It was just boom right there. Easy. Pinpoint goal. And another thing is that what happens next in this game is that we have like the chaos, you know, the field's in literal pandemonium right now. So yeah, it's all in chaos. And then the end of the episode is going to be when Isagi is dribbling up the court, the field, and we're going to have a bunch of passes being traded on. Aiku's actually going to be unlocking Metavision. And Nico's going to unlock Metavision in this game as well, which in this same episode will kind of tone down Isagi unlocking Metavision because now everyone literally has it. But yeah, this episode is going to end with Yukimiya being someone free. For the first time in the game, he might be the one to score the next goal. For episode 17, we're going to start the episode off basically with Kaiser's goal happening. And this goal I don't think is very complicated to animate, so I don't think I should go into much detail about how I want it to be animated. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If they get the same artist we did back in the last game, the U20 arc, I know I keep saying that, but that's basically because that dude is a freaking genius, right? He did that shit to perfection, so I expect him to be able to do every other scene in this manga to perfection. But yeah, so yeah, I think that we should have him do every single good scene in this manga. But yeah, the episodes keep going on with Snuffy coming on and Noah coming on, and basically Snuffy's tactics working until Isagi at the end of the episode decides to ask Raichi for help. For episode 18, not much is really going to be happening except for Gagamaru stopping Barou's bullet of a shot. I really want this animated to be like a bullet, like literally being fired at Gagamaru and him like comfortably catching that shit. It's still kind of crazy how he did that, but yeah, man, he literally has some crazy feats. The biggest thing that's going to happen in this episode is basically this. And the fact that Isagi's going to realize that he needs someone who can think like him to end up on the field so he can end up winning this game. But just then, we're going to get to see Ubers go back on the counterattack, and we're going to find out that, yes, Barou's ego is not just dead from that one-stop shot. And that's what the episode's going to end. This next episode, Blue Lock, however, episode 19 of season 3, could be the best episode in the entire Blue Lock history, simply because of the fact that we're going to have Barou's gamble shot happening in this. And not only that, I feel like this episode just has so much emotional weight with Barou and Snuffy's dynamic. Snuffy's backstory happening in this episode right after that hype moment of Barou scoring on Kaiser and Isagi. On top of that, we're going to have Hiori's hype moment happening at the end of the episode where he finally takes off his training gear and he's ready to hop back into the game for the final goal of the match. This episode could quite literally be one of the best episodes of Blue Lock, or the best episode of Blue Lock ever made if done right. I really do think that. For the majority of this episode, we're basically going to be getting hyped for the next goal of the game. On top of that, we're going to have the ball bouncing left and right throughout the whole pitch. Everyone's using Metavision. Everyone's going crazy until Lorenzo finally goes at the end of the episode. His attack onto Master ManShine, and just when he's about to dish it off to Barou for the game, Hiori, throughout this entire episode, who's been getting flashbacks and a character arc, is going to come in and stop this play from happening and breaking his chain around his neck. I think it'll be a very emotional moment. And do I think that this episode is going to be peak? No, because peak, what I describe is those episodes in the ManShine game where multiple things were happening in every single episode. Everything that happened in that game eventually turned up iconic in the Blue Lock community. But I feel like Ubers just didn't have that same effect as ManShine did. But yeah, this will still be a good episode. This next episode will also be pretty intense, but normally the same story as the last episode where Hiori's going to be getting a crazy arc throughout these episodes. And I feel like that will build emotional impact given that we've seen his backstory already. We've seen what he's gone through. You know, Hiori's a very beloved character, I think, throughout the series, mainly because of his writing. And so just seeing him evolve throughout this game is going to be very emotional with the music in the back. And then when he finally misses, you're going to be like, damn, it's over. But not just that, Isagi's going to be there. We're also going to get the iconic Inazuma 11 shot with Kaiser and Isagi. On top of that, we're going to get the end of the episode where Hiori ends up trying to give up on football, but Isagi tells him, yo, one more time. Let's try this one more time. And Hiori's like, all right, bet, whatever, fuck it. And he goes in and he gets motivated again for the last attack of the game. Episode 22 would finally feature the end of the Ubers match, where basically Hiori's going to end up going on his insane spree, dribbling past multiple people in an absolute flow state, going past multiple S-class defenders, or we thought they were S-class defenders, with amazing animation, music blasting in our ears, and finally the reflexivity goal where they're not even looking at each other and Hiori sends a perfect pinned ball down to Isagi to win the game. Although we all think that the episode's going to be done there, no it's not, because we're going to have a post-credit scene where Rin is going to absolutely destroy my boy Nagi. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry because I do not want this to happen. I don't want this to get shown on the screen. But my boy Rin is gonna destroy my boy Nagi at the end of this episode. Now, this next episode, episode 23, is basically going to be showcasing the values inside of the games, the values inside the players, and it's gonna be setting up the final matchup versus PXG. But another thing that's going to be happening here is the backstory between Kaiser and Ness, where it shows that Kaiser has finally developed a move, and he's planning something to be able to have his trump card, and he's going to win with this trump card in the last game over Isagi. The last episode is going to showcase the Ubers versus ManShine game of Nagi getting destroyed again. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And obviously we're going to get to see our first glimpse of Charles inside the anime as well, which is going to just hype us up even more for the next installment of Bluelock, because this is episode 24 and it is the final episode of Bluelock season 3. This episode is basically going to end when the PXG game is about to start and everyone's on the field with their matchups. And yeah, man, the game's going to end right there when it says kickoff and somebody blows the whistle. Now, Bluelock Season 3. Do I think that I adapted it well? Do I think that I adapted it not well? Now, in terms of animation, there's no point of guessing what the fuck it's going to be, because who would have guessed Season 2 would have turned out like that? Although, if I keep my hopes high, I hope that the animation gets a lot better by that time, and I really do hope that we keep the guy who animated the last episode on every single episode. Put that guy to work. He's really good. And we need to hire more animators too, because they need to do their fucking jobs. And lock in for Bluelock Season 3. It's one of the most important seasons and could be the best season of Bluelock. Now, this season, I feel like with the ManShine game would peak with some crazy episodes. The ending of the Ubers game will add some crazy episodes. But I think what's going to be setting up even more for this is I'm planning to have a PXG match movie. Now you might be like, oh my gosh, are you stupid? The PXG game is running on 30 chapters, maybe even more right now. What are you talking about? I mean, guys, how sick would it be to end the Neo Equus League off with the PXG match as a movie? Come on, you cannot tell me that that wouldn't be crazy. Noticing all the crazy moments like the Magnus, Kaiser backstory, Rin goal, Rin Destroyer mode, Isagi 2 gun. How many crazy moments are in this game? And seeing them all animated in a movie, also giving them maybe 1 to 2 years time to be able to do it, would be absolutely crazy in my opinion. Keep in mind that while all this is happening, this will bring the ultimate maximum hype to Bluelock, because Bluelock manga will probably be in the U20 World Cup arc, which, if you didn't know, is the biggest arc in the series at this current point. So guys, I cannot even stress enough how much hype Bluelock would have if the anime is adapted right in the Neo Equus League and the manga is going